Bella, what day is it today? Is it International Women's Day? Definitely a day that we should all be talking about, screaming from the rooftops. This is perfectly valid. Do a bit of research. I'm so glad that this is a day, and I've certainly been taking up a lot of my time retweeting and shedding a light on all these amazing women that I know, that I've been fortunate enough to meet, fortunate enough to follow their content and share their content. It's a great time to be able to have this community of people, particularly on Twitter, all the social media channels, and to be able to really share people's voices and have them shout a bit louder. So important, am I right? And it definitely starts with the women in my life. I often would get questions about how I've come to be Molly, and it's not that tough to answer, because I look at my mum and I look at my mum's mum and I look at my parents, I look at my family. It's pretty evident. I have an insane support system. I've been told often I open my mouth and my mum comes out. When I say I've literally called my mum a Rottweiler on stage to hundreds of people, I'm not lying. But I mean it in the most sentimental, caring way, I promise. The Rottweilerisms started from when I was very young. When I was this little girl with big colourful hearing aids, and we were out shopping, and we'd be in the queue in Sainsbury's. Mum would suddenly just put her hands over my head and she'd be like, "What are you staring at?" To the adults that are staring at me, they were staring at me because I was wearing these big colourful hearing aids. And truth be told, this happened so often, and it wasn't really children, it was always adults. Have you not ever been told it's rude to stare? Really? Anyone who knows mum knows she's not aggressive. She would just be quite assertive. It's rude to stare. Always would be encouraging people to just ask, rather than, just be staring. Mum was protective and was obviously quite annoyed that there were in the public that were pretty rude about it. So I slowly became my mum. But again, I don't jump down people's throats. I just like to educate people. One of the things about my mum is, she would always talk about how when I was first diagnosed as deaf, she was devastated, worried that her daughter wasn't going to be able to enjoy music. All of that, was absolutely devastated. When we got to the Usher syndrome diagnosis when I was 12, it was like a grieving process, she described it as. It was really difficult trying to get support. Lots of people didn't really listen. The deaf charities kind of abandoned us because I was no longer deaf, I was now deaf-blind. Mum felt alone, and she was a real strong one that kind of kept it together. And we had actually just lost Nannie Pat, literally a couple of months before my diagnosis with Usher syndrome. And Nannie Pat was honestly everything to us. But the strongness, characters that my mum and I are, we like to think that we're kind of carrying on this strength that Nannie Pat had throughout her life. Like, she was a diva, and I definitely get that from her. But she always stayed true to herself. She was extremely truthful, like always honest. My friends will vouch for me here. I am one of those. I don't beat about the bush. I say exactly how it is. And having Usher syndrome, that really helps. Definitely helped when it came to trying to accept what was going on, and talking to people about Usher syndrome. You may as well just get to the point sooner rather than later. I'm deaf-blind, I'm registered blind. I've got 5 degrees vision left. I've got severe hearing loss. I wear hearing aids. This is how it is. Let's just be straight with it. And that's definitely a characteristic that I picked up from mum, and mum picked up from Nannie Pat. And honestly, if we didn't have any of that, if mum didn't have the strength to, deal with my diagnosis just 2 months after her mum had passed away, and then not long after, like, we set up the Molly Watt Trust. we felt we didn't have that support when I was first diagnosed in 2006. So, setting up that support system for everybody else, that was mum. It was dad as well, but it's International Women's Day, so I'm just talking about mum. That mum being mum, like, she wanted to be able to not have our experience repeated, where we felt really quite alone, being the guinea pig in everything, because no one ever understood Usher syndrome. That's all down to mum. That is all down to mum. The Molly Watt Trust, I'm the face of the Molly Watt Trust. I've done plenty of work to do with the Molly Watt Trust. It bears my name. But mum is the spine. She does the paperwork, she does everything, and she deserves to be recognised for it. So, yeah. So, mum, thank you. And thank you, Nannie Pat. Thank you both for being the women that you are. Well, Nannie Pat being the woman that we remember you to be, strong-headed, beautiful person inside and out. And for bringing my mum into the world and bringing her up to be the most strong person I know, and for her to then bring up me with the help of the rest of my support system. Couldn't have been done without Nannie Pat or my mum. So special thanks to you both today on International Women's Day.